I'm Coleman Hodges for SwimSwam. I'm sitting down with Georgetown head coach Jack Leavitt. He's the head coach of the back-to-back Big East champion Georgetown men, as well as the women who were third at that Big East Conference Championships in 2023. Jack, thanks so much for sitting down with me today. We're talking Battle of the Burr II, which happens this Saturday, October 7th. Can you tell me a little bit about how this meet came to be? Because it was such a hit last year.
It kind of started with just like the friendship that Nic and I have developed over the last few years being here, and just started talking about trying to get more eyeballs on the sport in general, and then more eyeballs on the fact that they're the only HBCU. And it was like, why don't we try to create an event? The only HBCU, the swim and dive team, I should say. And let's try to create an event that kind of gets some excitement around it. And the first, we actually did a first Doom Meet like 3 years ago, and we just try to make it as fan friendly as possible, right? I think we did no 1,000, maybe not even the 500. We just did like short sprints, trying to get as many people interested in just watching a swim meet that maybe wouldn't. And then last year we decided to go a bit more traditional with the lineup. It's certainly not like the 16 event format like most college dual meets would have, but trying to get more people in the building and to focus on the sport of swimming, especially at the mid-major level. I think it really has made a big impact here in DC, and I think this year is gonna be bigger than it was last year. So excited to be a part of it.
What can we expect from Battle of the Burr II for this year?
Yeah, I think I feel like both teams. It's really cool because this year both teams are coming off of winning the men's side, both coming off of winning a conference title, right? And it's funny because we talked with Brian Thomas over at GW about having GW won their A10 title. We talked about getting a champions dinner together at some point here in DC. So it's fun to be able to compete against people that won their conference championship. I know our team gets really excited for this because the environment really is nothing. There's nothing like it, right? I think our kids probably aren't in the best of shape to be swimming like crazy fast right now. We've kind of just been in the water for about 4 weeks, but I think the environment brings out some really good swimming. So our kids are really, really excited about it. It's a good opportunity to get some good dual meet swims in at a time that maybe, we're not expecting to. So I'm expecting to see some really good things. And I know that, Nic's always got some surprises at the meet in terms of special guests and, what they're going to be bringing in from an entertainment standpoint. He keeps some of that a secret from me as well. So I'm always excited to see what that's going to be about because it's really, really cool.
You talk about the significance of this crosstown rivalry that has formed. I mean, is this a rivalry of the schools that is kind of deeply ingrained in the lifeblood of Georgetown and Howard, or is this kind of a new rivalry that you as swim teams have formed just in the last few years?
Yeah, it's not something. I don't know how many of our teams here actually play Howard. It being local, I think there's a bunch of teams that do play. I know volleyball does. I think basketball's played in the last few years. It's not necessarily like this big, long-standing rivalry. And I don't know if rivalry is the right word, just because like I know that both sides have a lot of admiration and respect for one another in this too, right? Obviously, we want to win. They keep score at a meet, you want to win. So there's definitely that part of it. But we compete against them also at the Potomac relays that we start the season with every year. We're usually on the same side of the pool deck as them, and I just really enjoy those kids, and I know that that they feel the same about our team too. So it's certainly it's when we're up there on the blocks, we're trying to win every race we possibly can. But I think at the end of the day, like what we're trying to do is focus on the sport of swimming in general, right? And making it accessible to more and more people, and showing them that the environment, especially collegiate swimming at the mid-major level, can be really, really exciting.
You kind of mentioned it earlier, but can you tell me about if you've seen, specifically after the first battle at the Burr, if you've seen that have a community impact, or just you've seen the ripple effects of having a meet this big? Certainly from a media perspective, as recently as yesterday when we put out a report about how meets like this are becoming bigger and bigger. We've seen the effect that the Battle of the Burr last year had.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like right after the Battle of the Burr last year, we saw the stuff that Texas was doing and NC State was doing. I immediately texted Nick and I was like, "You did this, man! Like this." I mean, maybe they had those plans ahead of time. I don't know, but I mean, we really kind of was the tip of the spear on creating an environment around meat that wants to drive people into the building that necessarily wouldn't be there because of their parents or alums or whatever, right? So yeah, it's funny because I got young kids. I got a son who's 6 and a son who's 2.5, and we do summer league swimming. And people on the summer league pool deck ask me about it. Like they know about the meet, asking me if I can get tickets, which is hard to come by. So that's really really cool to see, right? Because it's something that this area in general, like DC, Maryland, Virginia, swimming is such a big part of this area. Like summer, like I mentioned summer league before. Every kid in this area grows up doing summer league, right? And so that drives a lot of kids that stay in the sport year round and into high school and hopefully into college. So it is like the perfect area for a meet like this too, because so many kids from the ages of 5 to 18 love the sport and they like the fun aspects of it, not just like, hey, how fast are the kids going, or are people going best times, or are they suited up? Like none of that matters, right? It's just about, and this is a really cool environment where kids are getting up and swimming really fast and having a lot of excitement around it. So yeah, I've seen the impact in the area around here for sure in terms of just people asking me like, hey, how many tickets can you get for this one? And it's like, well, we'll see what we can do. I'll have to ask Nick.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it's great to hear. You just like you said, even the area is so swimming friendly and swimming centric that you're getting a lot more. You're getting a lot more of those ripple effects,
Yeah.
which is so great to hear.
And just today, I had our football coach came in here and asked. He was like, "Why can you guys schedule this on a bye week next year? Because I wanna come." And one of our soccer coaches was asking if he can get a ticket because they're coming late because they have a game that day too. So it's not only catching on in the community, but like all the other coaches in this building are like taking note and trying to create environments around that for their sports too.
It's amazing. I mean, that's really really cool.
Yeah.
So in terms of just Georgetown, coming for the men coming off of a back-to-back champion season, for the women coming off of a third place finish
Yeah.
at that same conference meet. Where do you feel like your team is at right now, and where are they headed in the near future for this season?
Yeah, it's I will say like it's not necessarily like the back-to-back thing I get, like we won two in a row, right? Yeah. But in reality, like we lost a quarter of the team last year, bring a quarter of the team is brand new. So it's like a brand new journey every single season, right? So we're still figuring that out, right? We've got some really good depth and some really talented kids, and we added some really great grad transfers on both sides, the men and the women this year. And so we feel like we have maybe the most talented group we've had, and that's no knock on anybody that's been on previous teams here. But we feel like we're a really talented group that is really motivated and really hungry for more, especially on the women's side. I know Nick has talked about this when one team wins, the other team sees that and kind of sees kind of what the roadmap could be. And certainly motivating. And both of our teams get along so well and train together all the time. So, a lot of the success that the men have had, the women feel a lot of a part in that, right? Because they're training in the same lanes and pushing those guys the same way. So, our guys are really hoping that the women can join them in that pursuit. And we feel really good about both sides making a run this year.
Well, great, Jack. Thank you so much for your time, for sitting down right before practice to
No
discuss
problem.
this really cool meet coming up this Saturday, October 7th. Will you get? Is it live streamed?
I believe it will be live streamed. There'll be a link up on the hard website, and we'll put something out as well. One other thing I wanted to mention. I know that that Nick is bringing in honorary coaches. He's got Maritza and Cullen Jones, and that's really really cool. Again, like getting some real heavy hitters in the sport. We're also bringing in some honorary coaches. We have Kamal Carter and Kyle Williams joining us. They work with an organization called the Long Talk which we as a department at Georgetown have worked with for a few years, and our team specifically for the last 2 years on an anti-racism workshop. And so they're going to be on deck with us. I know that Duke and Yale also have worked with them as far as swim teams. So we're hoping that they get some exposure to some more swim programs and get more swim programs to get them on their campuses and spread the message that they have, because it's really, really important. And so, I just want to make sure we mention that as well, if we could.